Hi everyone, this is Kasey from the Pasadena Public Library, and today we're going to be celebrating Asian Heritage Month by creating this traditional ink wash painting that can be transformed into a small hanging banner. So, if you're interested in celebrating Asian Heritage Month and creating this great work of art, continue watching. The materials you'll need for creating this painting are any piece of paper. I'm just using a piece of 8.5 by 11 printer paper, a ruler, a pencil, a pair of scissors, any piece of string or twine if you want to make it into a banner. And then for your paint, you'll need brushes. I'm just going to use one medium brush and one small brush with a cup of water because it's going to be a watercolor painting. Any watercolor palette you have, but really you just need the black color and the red color in your watercolor palette. You can also use the Crayola watercolors or the Praying watercolors. Whatever you have works. Just make sure that it has a red and a black. And if you want, you could even use real India ink, like the traditional ink wash paintings. Okay, so let's get started. First, what you're going to do is take your piece of paper, and I'm going to put this aside right over there, and we'll refer back to it in the video. So you're going to take your piece of paper, and we're going to make it into this smaller rectangle shape. So you're going to take your ruler and measure out 10 inches. So you're going to 10 inches and creating a line. Then from this line here, you're going to measure out 6 inches. And then up at the top, 6 inches, so you get a perfect straight line. These two lines, marks that we just made at the 6-inch point, you're going to put your ruler right where those two are. And there you go. 10 by 6. So now you're going to cut this to your size. And you can put those scraps aside, and you don't need your scissors anymore, so you can put those aside too. Same with your ruler, you can put that aside. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do a basic drawing of our painting, just to get some guidelines down, just so we can follow them later. These don't have to be perfect, and we're probably going to erase them all at the end. So first you're just going to put 2 circles here, and this is where you're going to punch holes if you want to create the banner. And this can you can just eye this, right around there, just to show that you don't want to paint there because there are going to be holes. Now we're going to work this drawing from the top down. So we're going to start with the thing in the farthest back, all the way in the background, and work up to the foreground. So the thing in the very background is obviously going to be the rising sun, which is just like the Japanese flag, because Japan is the land of the rising sun. And that's why we see the red sun in a lot of traditional watercolors from Japan. So this doesn't have to be perfect, just a circle. It could even be a little bit bigger than this one, and we're going to erase these lines right before we start painting. So just getting it in there is great. Just want to see where it's going to go. And then we're going to do these 3 large cliffs that come up a lot in ink wash paintings. So just like that, you're starting here. You're going to go to the left and then right down. You could even make an extra one coming in front. Then a smaller one all the way in the background. Just, kind of organic shapes going down. And then you're going to go right in front of this one, right up there. And you can even make this one a little smaller. So that'll show that it's in the mid-ground. So this cliff is the farthest away, sorry. This one's the medium away, and this one's the closest. So you can see in the size difference that's how you do it. And then to show right here in the mid-ground, I wanted to create this kind of bushy, just kind of fill right here, and I see it a lot in the paintings. I'm going to insert some images right now of these cliff paintings with the brush in the front and then the water, and you'll see what I mean. Okay, so now you see what we're doing. We're kind of gonna follow that style, but make it a little easier. So we're gonna put 5 bushes in the mid-ground. So we're gonna put 1 line here for a bush, 1 line here for a bush, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. We might even do a little 6th one when we paint. And this is really simple. You can just make little shapes to show a top branch and like a middle branch, and then they can get a little bigger, just like that. And as you saw in the image, you could go back and pause or look at it, and you see that they're kind of spaced apart, like a branch, and a branch. So we're gonna follow that style. And they're all very organic, you know, this doesn't have to be perfect. We're just gonna make little scribbles to show where we're gonna be painting. This is all just a guide for a painting later. So just these little scribbles. There we go. And you know, they're kind of looking like trees, but what we're gonna do is now add a water line and just come down with some reflections in the water, just like that, all the way. And that's just gonna be a guide for our painting later. Now we're gonna put in the foreground this pagoda and 2 bamboo stalks. So we'll start with the pagoda, and we're gonna start it right around here. I like how in this one it's a little off center, so it's off to the side. It's almost being cut off the page here. I think that looks really nice in this composition, and I do see it a lot in the ink wash paintings. So to start this pagoda, you're gonna start right around here. We can make a line down the center so you can see where your guide is. We're gonna start by making a triangle and cutting off the top, just like that, and then curling up the edges and adding a little line at the top. Next, we're gonna go down from these edges, and we can go over our bushes in the background. We can even erase them right now. You're not gonna be seeing them. So you're gonna go here and just curve, add some lines. Then we're gonna go to the next level. Same thing, just building out from this part. You're gonna go 2 lines out, go out just like that, curve, and then twist up and twist up. And that one's a little uneven, so you can just kind of fix it here and there. There we go. And then from these lines here, down and down, curve. Want to keep our ellipses, which is our curves, all of the same type. And that's what's going to make it look more realistic. So keeping our ellipse curved, we're going to go line, just making these little bars. And then we're going to start the main one. And this is going to be cut off the page. So we're just going to go right off. I'm going to start here and curve here. Getting our ellipses right. And this one's a little big, so we can even cut in here. You know, you can pick the size of how you want yours to look like, but I'm just going to make this one a little bit smaller, just so we can have some room for the bottom part. Here we go. Just make it up a little bit more. That's perfect. Great. Okay. And now we're just going to take this line and go one down. Then next to it, we're going to take this line here, travel it down. So now we have 2 lines. As you can see, I did that right here. So 2 lines, and then just go straight there. This line will go down here, and the rest is cut off so you won't need it. And so you can go like that. And then in the middle section, you're going to take these lines from up here, just follow it down as a guide, right here. So that's what I did here, and you can see we're doing it here. So now you can erase all these inside lines. Great. Okay. And now you got your guide. Okay. Then you want to make some little shapes here so you remember to paint them, or not paint them in this case, for your highlight on the top of the pagoda. So what you're going to do is just take your pencil and just make kind of like a jagged line. You're just remembering this. It'll be painted all differently. But you just want to remind yourself that you're not going to be painting right there because it's going to come out as a little highlight. So just like that, you know, very easy. Don't even have to stress about it. Okay, so now we're going to start at this second line here and come up with 1 bamboo, and you can even right there. That's great. And this is in the foreground. It's the first thing in front of you. So it's going to be the darkest in color and the closest up. And that's why we're overlapping it with the pagoda to show that it's in front. That's just a simple way to show perspective in art where things are overlapping so you can see what's in front and what's in back, and that shows each plane that it's in. So we see how the pagoda is in front of the bushes, and the bushes are in front of the mountains or the cliffs. So we're seeing that. So now you can go backwards from what's in front and say, okay, well the cliffs are in the back, then it goes the bushes, then it goes the pagoda, and then it goes the bamboo. Just remember that when you're doing your own art, it's a really great and easy tool to make it look a little more realistic. Always asking yourself what is in front and what is in back. And even overlapping something this small, it does get the point across. So making the little leaves on the bamboo, you're just going to do really long teardrops. So we're going to start with a half circle, and we're going to connect them up with a half triangle, just like that. And these don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be this big. They don't have to be this small, just like that. So I'm going to do one here. Right there's a good one. Like I said, you can do as many or as little of these as you want. Now let's do the next one right below. Put one here. And I might even change the placement of these later, but just to get the idea. Okay, so now we're ready to start our painting portion. So what you're going to do is get out your water and your brushes and your black watercolor with a little section that's clean in your palette to do some mixing. I think this is a great moment to stop and talk about the history of ink wash paintings. Ink wash paintings emerged out of East Asia and are also known as East Asian brush paintings that use the same black ink in East Asian calligraphy. They're typically monochromatic, using just shades of black because they're using this watered down black ink. It emerged out of the Tang Dynasty, and there's a very high emphasis on brushwork and technique, where this brushwork and technique is conveying more of a spirit or an essence of the subject rather than capturing it directly and making it realistic. It's just the brushwork that's celebrating the subject and the end product. And we see this come up a lot in Asian values and cultures, where there's a very huge emphasis on the process and the rituals of getting to your end product, where that's almost as important as the final piece. And they would say that this painting, it's the ritual, it's the brush strokes, it's the emotion that you put into it that's more important. Typically, most watercolors from Asia are celebrating nature, not people, not animals, always nature. And we see a lot of Confucianism and Buddhism values really come through here with the celebration of nature and process and togetherness in these pieces. And I just find them really inspiring. I think that it's so hard. With ink, you only get one try. You can't go back and erase it. Like, you only get that one brush stroke. So it's really inspiring to see how these techniques were used so far back. And I'm really glad that we're able to do this piece together, because it's a great exercise on brushwork, technique, and just really going for it and celebrating your process and your ritual of painting and creating art. Okay, let's go back to the painting. So we're going to start by, like we did the drawing, going from the back all the way to the front. So we're going to take our medium brush and put some water in this extra, let me see if you guys can see that. Okay, great. In this extra little section here, we can take our small brush and put it in the black. Now this black watercolor is representing the black ink that they used in their traditional watercolors. And like I said, you could use India ink, and it's the same thing. It'll just be more liquidy, and it's a lot stronger. So a little goes a long way if you're using the ink. So we're just going to mix up some light gray, which is just a lot of water, with some black. I will put this here. Okay, so like I was saying before, the key to making this look realistic is keeping the background lighter, and then it gets darker as you come to the foreground. So we're going to start with this batch of gray and just fill in these mountains. So we're going to start by putting a big thing of water here, and we're going to dip our medium brush into the water and take what we had and just kind of spread it down. So now you can come in and it will all be lighter, and you can kind of move it around. Just like that. So that's going to be our first layer, and I'm going to do it here too. And then we're going to take it in the water. And we can go down in front of these bushes in the front. Just like that. We're going to go down, put our brush in the water, and just pull it down, just like that. Okay. And now we're going to wait for that to dry for a second. Make this a little darker, come in with our smaller brush, and just put some definition up here. As you can see, I'm going off here. As you can see, the top of the cliffs are typically a little darker, have a little more detail. If you put this little front cliff here, you can bring that down. It's always great to wait for this to dry a little. Just like that. And you can just kind of play around this really, like I was saying before, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're just going to enjoy yourself, make really strong and bold brush strokes. And that's like the real true nature of this exercise. So just like, you know, pretending we have a little cliff here and just wanting to go down and catch all the little shadows on the cliff. You can always go back and look at the image that I inserted at the beginning of the video. Okay, so we're going to wait for this to dry for 1 second, and while we're waiting for it to dry, we're going to mix up a darker color. So we're going to just add more black to this little pot with our small brush, and we're going to start these little bushes. Let's see. Okay, that looks good. Go up, and we're just gonna make our little line. So it might be too wet right now, so we can wait an extra minute. Just like that. Might be too wet, so we can go back up here and just add some more definition to our cliffs. If you need to just dap it up a little, if it needs to be a little lighter. Okay, we're just waiting for this all to dry, so I'm just adding some more detail up here. You can follow along. Okay. So, now we're going to go back down to these bushes, start with a line. Just kind of make these little shapes coming down. There we go. Eventually we're going to come back and make these a little darker, but just getting the basic shape in is all we need. You can see we're making our little background. Fix up these lines up here, just like that. Okay. Wait for this to dry, so I'm going to come back in 1 minute, exactly 1 minute, and we'll be ready. Okay, it's been a minute, and I think we're ready to add some darker shades to these front bushes, and then we'll move on to the water and the pagoda. Okay, so we're just going to get a little bit darker shade of black, gray. Come right here. Okay, so we're just going to add more definition to these. And it might even be too wet still. I remember it being wet on that one too. So I might just move on. Yeah, let's move on. We'll come back to the bushes in the back. And we're just going to mix up a watered down gray. Go across. And this is going to be our water line. We're going to take our medium brush and just pull it down, add some more water, pull it down. Okay, so we're just making a water line, just like that. So now there's water on the piece. There's a plane, oops. And we're gonna come back and define all these like I did here. It was very wet when I did it the first time, so it's just, you just gotta wait a little. So we're going to make some really dark gray like this color, and we're going to start filling in our pagoda. Just because we want to skip around and let everything dry, but still finish the painting. So going in, we're just going to follow our guidelines. And really just taking your time and getting this right is exactly how traditional ink wash paintings were done. It wasn't that quick. They just, you know, it just takes time to make the perfect brush strokes. So take your time. Don't feel rushed. I'm going to take my time here. We're just going to get through this together. There's a hair in mine. Okay. There we go. Okay. Perfect. Now go down with our lines. Okay. Okay, now when we get to the point here, we're filling in this little highlight, we're just gonna go in with our lines just like that. Just like that. You can even make it a little longer. There we go. And comment back at the top. Down with our lines. There we go. Okay, so you guys kind of got the hang of it, so I'm just gonna work. I don't need to give any more instructions. I hope everyone is staying safe right now. You know, hanging in there. Maybe some of you guys are back in school just for a little bit of a hybrid thing. That must be so amazing. My school is back. Just for each student gets to go 1 day a week, so I've been really enjoying seeing my friends just for 1 day of the week, and I've just, it's just been really great. So if you guys are back to school, you must be really happy. If you're not, hopefully in the fall, maybe this summer, you'll get to see everyone, but I hope everyone's doing well on the COVID land. And maybe one day I'll be able to teach a workshop in person and I get to meet all of you. Because I love looking at everyone's art. I love seeing what direction everyone takes these pieces. Because, you don't really have to directly follow them. You can kind of go off and do whatever you want and just make them yours. I'm just kind of here to give you some techniques and, ramble on while you create your art. So yeah, maybe one day we'll be able to teach a workshop and be all together. I just finished the book Joy Luck Club, written by Amy Tan, and that's just such a beautiful book about what it's like to be, from Asian descent, but in America, and kind of just what life is like for mothers and daughters and their relationship. It's a really great book, and I highly suggest it. Amy Tan is such a beautiful writer, and everything is like a little metaphor, and it's just so well written. And you follow the story of 4 pairs of mothers and daughters because they have this Joy Luck Club where they play mahjong and celebrate food and each other and company every week. And it's so interesting to hear the background stories of each mom as they immigrated to America. And then you hear the daughter's point of view in their relationship. It's just a great book, and I really highly suggest it. It's often taught in the classroom, so you might actually even read it in school. I'm in 10th grade English right now, so you might be reading it when you get to high school, or maybe you've already read it. So look forward to that, because that was a really great book, and it was just so inspiring. It just makes me want to write more and just get into reading more. It was a great book. There's my little book rant of the day. Okay, we're just going to finish that off. I'm always filling it in. And as you see here, I made this part a little lighter. It's just to show, I usually see them in the paintings, and I just thought that that was a really great touch. You can kind of shade it in like that. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the water and these bushes. Just like that. You see, I'm just kind of filling in all these little areas. Okay, and now we're just going to go down to the water here. I'm just making some little reflections. You can fade them out as you get out here. Oh, oops. Just kind of like that, just at the top area. And then once they travel down, you can just kind of get them in there, just like that. You go over there, just so it shows that the pagoda is in front of the water. Okay. So now we're gonna do our bamboo, and we're gonna go directly into the black for this one, because this is gonna be the darkest thing in the painting. This is when it really starts feeling like some calligraphy, and we're gonna do calligraphy in a minute as our final touch. So yeah, you don't need to hear me talk about how to fill in our bamboo drawing. It's pretty self-explanatory. I'll walk you through one, and then I'll just speed up the video because it's pretty simple. So you're gonna start with your half circle, then just go up, just like that. You can fix it all you want. Okay, I'm gonna speed up the video right now and do the bamboo. So I did the bamboo, and you guys should have too. And now we're gonna go to the rising sun here. And a lot of traditional Japanese watercolor paintings have a little bit of a cloud in the front of the red. So I wanted to do that too. So if you take your pencil, you're just gonna do just a little cloud shape, just half of a cloud. Like two clouds, just like that. And I'll put in an image too. I'm gonna keep the bottoms a little straighter, just like that. Okay, so we're gonna take our red, the red in our palette, and you can just go directly in to the red. Make sure your brush is washed. So just go directly into the red. Okay. And just fill it in. Making sure to not fill in our clouds. So we're just gonna take a little bit of our black mixture here, really lightly, and we're just gonna do the underside of this cloud so we can show that it's a cloud. But first you might wanna erase this side just a little, keeping this very light. Just make the under shape of a cloud, just like that. And then keep it a little top, just like that, just to keep it nice and simple. Okay, so now on to the calligraphy. I did some examples here, just to see if you guys wanted to pick your word. And I just did really easy and positive words. This one here is peace, heping. And I think for this one here, I'm going to do harmony, which should be hoxie. And there's also chun, which is love, and aizin, which is compassion. And you guys could write these vertically, but I'm going to stack them. So I'm going to be doing the harmony, so I'll walk you through how to do the harmony characters. And there's a lot of videos on the internet of how to do the brush strokes for calligraphy. So if you want to do another word, if you want to know how to do another thing, you can always look it up. So I'm going to go directly into my black with my brush, make sure it's well coated. I'm going to start here and go down for the hexai, which is harmony. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to start with this character on the top, middle, and bottom. So I'm going to start with a line up here, going down, so that is first. Second, and this one's usually written more like that. And then I'm going to do this larger one, so here we go. Just watch and follow along. I don't know how to describe this, but you're going to start with this line, then go under, just like that, like a little T, a little longer, curve on the T. Okay, and it got a little scrunched, so just, my bad. You can work on your placement a little better, but I think it looks fine. I really like this. But yeah, it's always practice. Every time these pieces come out differently, so this one might have been a little bit more washy, and, got little things, and this one's a little cleaner, but I think it looks great. Don't get don't get angry if you mess up your calligraphy. It's all fine, and I really highly suggest to practice before you do your calligraphy if you've never done it before. Okay, so now if you want to do the banner portion of this piece, you're going to get a hole puncher. I forgot to say that in the materials, and any piece of string or twine. This is 2 feet long. 2 feet long piece of string and a hole puncher. You can even do a little scissors if you don't own a hole puncher. You're just gonna put one here, one here, and then feed your string through your, now it's a banner. Okay, like that. There we go. And then flip it to the other side and do a double knot. Can you see the double knot? Do the double knot here on the back. And you can always trim aside these little loose ends. Throw those away. Pull your banner. Okay, and then the last step is, if you have any extra pencil marks, to just go back and erase them and just clean up your piece. And I'm going to fast forward this right now. Okay, well there you go. You can wait for it to dry a little more and finish up the last finishing touches, but that is the end of this traditional ink wash painting banner tutorial. I hope you guys liked it, and I can't wait to see you guys again. Thank you so much for watching.